Grand Rising, Grand Rising. This is the Straight Talk Network on the Straight Talk Morning Show. My name is Andre Hill, your host, and we have our co-host, the chairman for our Aboriginal Nation, Terrence Lake. How you doing this morning, sir?
Grand Rising, everyone. I'm doing great. We're starting to get a little bit of your precipitation from down there in Florida up here. It's been great all week, and all of a sudden today it's coming in a little bit. But I'm glad to know you guys are doing all right.
Hey man, we protect it, man. I keep telling people you got to broadcast a good frequency and you protect it. It's spiritual. All of those that are broadcasting hate and confusion, they're gonna get tapped. Hey, hey, we have our co-host and engineer Andre Hill Jr. What's going on, man?
Hey, peace and love, family. Peace and love.
So we're going to get right into it. Yesterday, as I usually do, I broadcast or I will post the topics. And this is an interesting weekend. Number one, it's my birthday weekend. I will be 72 this Monday. And so I'm kind of in a celebratory mode right now. But so I posted Good Afternoon Family tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Straight Talk Network. The mayor of Tampa, I thought this was interesting. She stated, any battle with Mother Nature, comma, Mother Nature wins. How true she is. This statement of a comma applies to circumstances other than hurricanes. So I wanted to talk about that because there's some things going on in Tampa. I'm constantly feeling the energy and the frequency of the mentality of the population here in the Tampa Bay area, and it's weird. Other things I talked about. This was really disturbing to me during the middle of the week. We got a lot of feedback.
Yeah, no, I don't know where it's coming from.
The use of indiscriminate exploding pages by the Israeli government is as low as you can go. We have a warning for all African nations. We're going to talk about that little piece because I almost called in to do a special show on Wednesday because of all the changes that are going on. And I'm real concerned with that. Aboriginal Americans, you have options. Tune in and be enlightened on Facebook and YouTube. Will the ETs approve Lucifer's Revenge, our book, A Guide for the 144,000? So we put the link there. And, we are still encouraging you to get a copy of this book, not only for you, but for your children and your grandchildren, because they need a source other than what they've had. What we've had for the last 400 years ain't working. So this will give them a true history and knowledge to expand and advance their frequency so they know how to come together as a collective and change their reality. So we're gonna kick it off and start off with the mayor of Tampa. Now, here in Tampa, we have an interesting scenario going on. Well, the whole state of Florida, ever since Donald Trump moved down here, it has emboldened the mentality of the populace. And the emboldenedness deals with, it's hard to say. I've been watching a lot of videos on Trump. His 2025 program, he tried to distance himself from it, but his nephew said his hands is all over it, which is a doctrine to almost recreate a Nazi dictatorial type society. And that's really going back in the wrong direction. And that's something that we want to talk about today because Tampa just recently established some sort of partnership with Germany. Now, of course, we know Germany has cooled out, but still, there's a side to Germany because they started World War I and World War II. And my question is, are they in position? Are they posturing to start World War III? Are they behind? Are they? Okay, we get some serious feedback now.
Go ahead.
Okay, so that's the question. Chairman, you have some friends from Germany, right?
Yes, I do.
What is their feeling about the Trump agenda, the mentality? Even a black man up in North Carolina said he was a black Nazi, and we ought to reinstitute slavery. I don't think it's just Caucasian people. I think we got mentally deranged people in all cultures.
Yes.
But dealing with this concept, this mindset that we have to enslave you as a species because we know better for what you need than what you need yourself. What do you think about what is your feeling from your friends in Germany?
All my friends think that he's a clown. They laugh at him. They can't believe that he's actually trying to run for president. They feel he doesn't know how to communicate, and it seemed like the majority of the German people feel that way because you don't really hear that much about him other than on news caption, but he's not the center of attention. It's like a joke. They laugh at him. When they came here to visit me, they say, what is that clown doing? So they call him a clown. So, yeah, Germany has changed. I tell you, I feel more freer in Germany than I do here. Really.
Wow.
I feel that freedom when me and my wife went there, 2 years ago? No, last year. She said she liked Germany better than Paris and Amsterdam. She said because the people were so true, so friendly, so sincere, and she picked up that vibration from them. I thought she loved Paris, but she really loved Germany and the Germans.
So, Chairman, when we think about the history of those wars, and I think the United States government has been totally infiltrated by ill-willed people that believes in the uh, uh, galvanizing of white supremacy. And so, when I look at the Bush family, Prescott Bush, George Bush's Jr.'s grandfather, he operated a bank for Nazi Hitler, for Nazi Germany, and and they were actually funding and financing in conjunction with the Catholic Church this Nazi movement, to sterilize the planet from anybody that wasn't blonde and blue eyes. So, so a lot of those Nazis, let's say Nazis, let's not say Germans. A lot of those Nazis were exiled here to the United States, and they developed roots in Texas, and there was a lot of them in Florida. I had some people to tell me that Disney World was heavily influenced, and they still had this mentality of we have to institute this agenda, otherwise it's going to affect us, our power and our control. And if we lose power and control over the populace, that's meaning the entire planet. That it will threaten their genetic survival. So I understand. Have you had any conversations like that with your friends, and understanding is not necessarily Germany, but that after World War II, a lot of those Nazis had to escape Germany, and a lot of them went to South America, and a lot of them, especially scientists, came here to the U.S.
Yes, I understand. And most of my friends, they're embarrassed about World War II, even though they weren't born during that time, but they feel embarrassed. It's like, wow, how could our people do something like that? It's just like in the United States, we are embarrassed by Trump making the statements that he made. But what we can't control his character, but he doesn't represent us all, just like the Germans really didn't represent all of Germany. They had to go along with that power structure. Other than that, they would have been the Jews and sent into the gas chambers and annihilated if they didn't go along with the program. But if you go over there now and look, they had Merkel, the woman that was the prime minister over there. She did a fantastic job. So in some cases, they're a little bit more advanced than we are because we haven't gotten a woman in there yet. But just think about it.
All right, so my thing here is, when I think about our agenda, our collective, we're basically we all understand here on this panel that a mass frequency of consciousness, a mass frequency of unconditional love among the people can control the environment. Like that hurricane that came through here, there's a serious shift going on. And even I have personally experienced, we've been working on trying to establish a community garden to grow our own food. There is an element, a heavily financed element that does not want us to grow our own food. And so I'm going to put it out there for any journalists with any international organizations to get in touch with me. We got an email address, UAAR Life, LIFE at Gmail. And if you're interested in investigating what's going on, it's particularly here in the Tampa area, I have some information, some interesting story for you. I'm gonna retain from talking about it right now, but there is still kind of a racist agenda, with people losing property here, especially melanated people, and the move to continue to maneuver to take people's property is still happening. But then all of a sudden, this hurricane came in and just annihilated miles and miles of beachland. And I don't think people understand that. I think it was this Einstein who said for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So when you do negative things, when you conspire to mistreat people based on the color of their skin or whatever religion or that sort of thing, it creates a negative energy in the atmosphere that will come back to haunt you. I think humans are still having a problem understanding that. I think they say, well, we can go in this private place and meet and discuss how we're going to annihilate. And like nobody, because we're going to this private room, nobody knows what we're doing. That's bullcrap. There are beings, advanced beings that gave you this antiquated equipment to spy on other people, and their technology is far more advanced. So they see and hear everything you're doing. So when you're sitting in the back room cooking up a conspiracy or an agenda on how to mistreat people, how to take things from people, these beings sit back and say, okay, so this is going to be a mark against your resume, in this life and the next life. Chairman, what do we say to get people to understand the laws of karma? The mayor here she basically said it. She said, and I thought that was really odd that she would say that at any battle with Mother Nature wins. And, what does that say to you, Chairman?
Well, it's like, can we control the hurricanes? Can we control solar flares? Can we control earthquakes? These things are Mother Nature's actions. We can't control them. We can get away from them, just like going way back in the day before we had satellites. Then the skies got dark, and you figure it's just going to be a rainfall coming in, and all of a sudden there was a hurricane. It killed people that they never really recorded because we didn't have it at that time. The news media to let us know how devastated certain things were. So Mother Nature, we have no control over it. That's what I get out of that. you know
So I think when people use the terminology Mother Nature, it can be analyzed in terms of the natural laws. If humans have been experimenting, they experiment with seeding clouds. Okay,
yes,
they experiment with chemtrails, spraying chemicals on people to get some sort of effect out of them. If there's an alien race that's millions of years more advanced, and you think about the heart system, I have not seen it, but the technology of this so-called heart system is a primitive, archaic technology that the United States government may be using to stimulate hurricanes or weather patterns. But if you
yes,
take a civilization that's a 500,000 years more advanced than us, they can create atmospheric conditions and steer a hurricane wherever they want. Wouldn't you think?
yes, they would be able to do that. They said that it was that earthquake in Haiti was controlled by man, that they were experimenting, and they utilized that area because they don't care that much about the Haitian people. And I've heard that a few times. So I feel like advanced civilizations, they can play with nature, but if they do it in a way that they can have repercussions behind it, it could be to man's detriment. But in some cases, it could be to man's good, because even in Alaska, where they got that heart system you're talking about up there, how they utilize it to make rain and other disasters that they could, I think, even create lightning and stuff. That's real. Man is always experimenting, but some things he just shouldn't play with because it could be humanity's downfall. And that's one reason why you got the extraterrestrials interfering with our nuclear system and our nukes, because they know that we're getting into a field that, we might have no return, so they turn it off, and we try to figure out how in the hell they do that. Even to this day, we don't know how they did it, but we know they did it. That's a fact. So man has got to walk light and be careful in some of the experiments that he do, because nature will be around after we're long gone. So let's learn how to be in harmony with nature, just like in harmony with each other. you know it's necessary if you want longevity. I'll land that plane.
Well, I always have to ask my son to chime in because I'm always interested in how his generation view things that happen. Now he's been working with me. As a matter of fact, he was the director with the community garden issue that we were developing here, and all of a sudden, mysteriously, it's because we want to grow our own food versus buying it from people that ain't been so friendly with us. we've run into so many obstacles, and the latest one is mind-boggling. That's why I'm encouraging any journalists that want to investigate this, because we're going to, this old saying, in the absence of light, darkness prevail. So we're going to bring this thing to light. If you're a journalist and you want to get a real juicy story about how the city of Tampa and how they're being influenced by some outside forces or inside forces, give us a call. Go to send us an email. So, but asking myself, based on what you're seeing, man, in your experience with this community garden, and then how this hurricane came in and just ripped up all the shore. So Tampa's the whole Bay Area is gonna have to reset, because right at the season for tourism, there's massive damage from the storm surge that came and destroyed all the coastline. How do you view that, man?
Well, it's a good question. Is it karmic in a sense? More than likely. Well, what is also interesting is, we've been here, well, at least I've been here with you for almost 10 years, right? And I think I've seen at least, I think this is the fourth, quote unquote, major storm or hurricane that I've seen here. And, we always seem to get, at least us as individuals, and even our close friends and family, we always seem to get bypassed, it's so much so to the point to where I've developed my own theory of life. I was like, well, maybe Tampa just don't get hit hard by hurricanes. I mean, maybe we just in a particular spot. But at the same token, some parts of Tampa actually do get hit. It's just not, just certain people in Tampa just don't get hit hard. I had to come to that conclusion. So, so long story short, this is a lane. This is a highway for Mother Nature to smite, if you will. You see what I'm saying? To smite. And if you had to bullshit, excuse my French, you can get whopped upside the head with one of these hurricanes. So, but for those who maintain some relative righteous energy, it comes and it goes for us. Just like you said, we went here, our lights didn't even flicker, right? I was in here asleep, chilling, watching TV. I don't even think the Wi-Fi went out, not even a little bit, right? So, but as far as even what our short-term and long-term plans were for the urban farm, how many hurdles we faced, just like you say, the ridiculous, seemingly orchestrated hurdles that we face, and them forcing us into having to reconsider how we were going to implement this project. Even me, in my mind, it got to a point to where I was I was tired of dealing with the project in total. So I said, you know what? I said, well, maybe this project ain't for the public. Maybe we need to do this in the Aboriginal sector, to where it's solely for us, and it's not necessarily meant for the public community, for those who are not on the self-sustainable mindset just yet. I'm still coming to some conclusions. Either way, I'm gonna let the Most High, Mother Nature, do what it do. You see what I'm saying? I'll just stay in my lane and get out of the way and keep pushing. But that's how I, as an individual, have been looking at it. As far as my generation as a whole, I think most of us are looking at it the same way. We're saying, like, we're not trying to go any paths of high resistance anymore. if there's opposition out there that want to say, hey, no, we don't want you to implement uh, uh, a plan of action that leads to a utopia and a free world, and we say, all right, well, this is what we'll do. We'll do this, in a particular direction. We ain't gonna be battling all the unnecessary hurdles because this thing has to get done, and we'll just let the Most High and Mother Nature deal with you. Simple as that.
Hey, well, my son he's definitely a witness. Most of his life he's seen the frequency that I, as a father, has maintained. And I don't go to church, I don't worship these false gods, what have you, but I treat people the way I want to be treated. I work towards an agenda of freeing people up. And so, a lot of church people will say, well, I'm blessed. Well, we're protected and we're still operating on a high frequency. And, so, the point that we're getting over here is that we as a species, if we don't start looking at the scenario, and we laid this scenario out in our book, Lucifer's Revenge, just how everything was started, how it was created, how this demonic system copied stories from our ancient ancestors and formed their own false images and false narratives, and how it has helped to enslave the Aboriginal people of this planet, and the do's and don'ts and the ups and downs. So we're hoping that when you read this book, whether you Aboriginal or you Caucasian, you connect the dots to understand that your soul is colorless. It doesn't have a skin color. And if you sit back and you're complicit with evil, we've seen how it comes to a head. We're looking at P. Diddy, for example. We see how his situation, Michael Jackson, all of these people that bought into the game of fame and fortune, they all come to an early demise. And it seems like humans could say, maybe we need to change the narrative, and that's what this show is all about. We're trying to offer some common sense, because that's our job, is to raise the frequency so that we as a species can survive. So, we encourage you to go to lucifersrevenge.net, order a copy of the book, give it to your children and your grandchildren, because the old narrative and the books that they've had to work with, it ain't working in terms of what's happening on this planet. And that takes us into the next topic. Now, this was really disturbing to me. When I heard that Israel had concocted a scheme to load probably C4 charges in all these pages, and then how they work that out to get them to, they think Hezbollah. And then at a specific time, they activated, not knowing where these people were. They could have been with children. They were in the company of children, just out in the market, and then they just activate. That's some low down evil crap. Chairman, what kind of feedback did you get on that?
Well, I just feel that when you're demonically possessed, you'll do wicked things. That's throughout history, Like I say, man has a choice, freedom of will. But when you're demonic, you're going to do demonic things. And that was a demonic act. Terrible. When will it end? When we make it end, But we've got to control that narrative. We've got to come together as a human race. I think we will. I believe we will. In fact, I know we will. But these things are happening right now. So how long? How long?
So, you know, I saw a Caucasian woman. She developed a table when World War One started, World War Two, and when the war started in Ukraine, and the calculations came up for World War One. They added up to 68. World War Two, they added up to 68. When the war started in Ukraine, you know, it added up to 68. So that's the beginning of the possible of World War Three. So if World War Three, we control whether that's going to happen or not. We control it as a species because we know that the egos of these mentally deranged psychotic maniacs, they are pushing the envelope because, you know, they're starting to see the demise of the systems that they've committed to. And so rather than just say, hey, maybe I need to change my ways, they'd rather just go ahead and just ruin the whole planet, you know, out of their ego because, you know, I guess they're saying, well, if I'm going down, everybody's going to go down, you know? And that doesn't have to be if all the humans as a collective say we're going to reject this mentality. You know, like Ben Netanyahu. Okay, so Israel gets a $2 billion welfare check from us every year.
Yes.
It's welfare.
Yes.
They get 10 to 15 billion in military support. So I understand that Biden told Ben, hey man, we need to do a 21-day pause at least. And he said, I'm not hearing that. Okay, cut off his checks.
That's right.
You need what the United States government needs to really seriously consider right now is reparations to the Aboriginal people and the damage we've suffered for 400 years. You know, rather than giving that money to Israel and then they ignoring you when you tell them to stop murdering children. And he said, no, we're going to continue. Now they're going into Lebanon with that same crap. That is going to push this planet to the brink of war. But we can stop it. Ben Netanyahu is a mentally deranged psychotic maniac. Okay, so why you all are letting him stay in power? All you Jewish people are not bad. I know some of you. I know you have some understanding of what fairness is. But to allow this idiot to continue to attacking, knowing very well it's going to push humanity to the brink of war because it's going to bring all the nations of Israel. And you know what this is all about? So this is why I added on, you know, we have a warning for the African nations. So what people have to, you know, you have to, like you're in playing chess, you have to go 5, 6 steps, moves ahead to figure out how this game is going to play out. So if Israel and the demons that's controlling it is pushing to take these people in, you know the reason behind this? Because the Muslim Islam population, they have the same phenotype in general of the Caucasoids, not the Caucasus, but the Caucasians from the Caucasus Mountain. Most of those Jews that are in power in Israel are Russians from the Caucasus Mountains that converted to Judaism when the original Jews migrated up north and started educating them. You know, and so they have now moved into Northern Africa and claimed this our land based on a biblical source that they don't believe in. They don't believe in King James Bible. All right. So to those righteous Jews that understand that you are Russian, that's your homeland, you have no ownership to Northern Africa. You know, you should pull together a collective to shut Ben Netanyahu down. He's a maniac. He's a psychotic maniac. You know, so this is a serious issue that we all have to start to meditate on as to how do we go about doing that? How uh, well, let me ask the young generation. Because um, my son has some of the same coordinates as Ben Netanyahu, and that Ben Netanyahu was born the year of ox, man. So, what would you do to disarm this maniac?
It's hard to disarm oxen, man. Hard to disarm them. When's his what month was he born in?
I believe Scorpio. He's a Scorpion ox.
Oh, I know. I know what you had to do. You had to dig up some of his dirt and expose him.
But they did that.
But now he's got some other personal stuff that he's doing behind closed doors that he doesn't want anybody to know that he may be embarrassed about. That may push him into a corner and push him into to strip him of his weapons and then expose his. In other words, expose his side that shows his lack of integrity. Every ox wants to maintain their integrity, right? You take that away from him, and he can't stand on what he wants everyone to believe is strong principles, strong reasoning as to why he's doing what he's doing. Take that away from him, and then actually take the weapons away from him, because once you push him into that corner, he'll just go use the weapons to go do what he want to do, because then he ain't got nothing to lose, right? So you had to hit him from both sides. But that's what it would take for him in particular, especially a Scorpio Wild, because he'll fight to the death.
He will push the envelope.
Yeah, he'll go kicking and screaming, that's for sure.
So but, October 21st, 1949.
Yeah, but he ain't invincible. Nah, not at all. I mean, he's actually similar to Diddy. He's got a power lust, and he's got the same type of secrets probably that Diddy has that are coming out. Probably, more than likely he does. But either way, he just had to be stripped of his, because mind you, he's one man, and everyone believes in him. So in other words, the military that he has access to, they believe in him. That's the only reason they'll pull triggers for him. Get them to stop believing in him, so they won't pull triggers for him. He can't exercise that power, right? And the way you get people to stop believing in him, it exposes his lack of integrity.
There you go. I hope Biden, I hope you and your people are listening.
Oh, they cahoots with him. They are no time it is. It's more who's more eligible to do something about him. It's not going to be. As a matter of fact, this is how intricate the chess move would have to be. It would take particular nations, and I don't know the titles. Particular nations, that the non-indigenous nations, to get on some kind of high horse and be like, you know what? If we keep going down this path, we're going to jeopardize our reincarnation for a long time, and to where it is frightening. It is terrifying how long we jeopardize our incarnation process, right? And so, and they because it ain't indigenous people's job to deal with that. We ain't start that. That's not our problem. That's their problem. So they gonna have to deal with that in-house, because that's what that is. That's an in-house issue. So they're gonna have to band together and say, all right, we're gonna have to be the ones that say, you know what, enough is enough at this point. We went so far down this road that the way back looks foggy at this point. I don't even think the road back even exists anymore. But we need to at least make an attempt. We need to make an attempt to turn around. And now, mind you, in Lucifer's Revenge, we put this in the book. Listen, if they continue to go down this route of genocide and thinking that they're going to be able to wipe the slate clean, just continue to plow forward into a technological era, no, you're going to go into a transhumanistic, artificial intelligent world that you ain't got no control over, because you already realize, especially the European nations, y'all know what happened when they started cranking up CERN. Y'all know what really happened when they started opening up those quote unquote wormholes and portals and whatnot. Y'all know what really happened. What y'all end up realizing is there's a lot of entities out there. There's a lot of dimensions out there with some technology and realities that y'all ain't ready to deal with.
Hmm.
I realize that's what's real. Y'all realize that multiverse and that multidimensional realm is a forest in a jungle that you ain't prepared for, and you probably never will be. But that's where you heading. That's what you're attracting with the type of karma you putting down. That's what you attract.
Yeah.
So if you don't, so let me just put it plain. If you don't stop Netanyahu, if you don't stop Catholic Church, if you don't stop entities and collectives of the light, that's your fate. Ain't no other way to slice that. That's your fate. And it is scary and it is excruciating.
It is, for sure. And you also got to realize that there are people undercover that are making a lot of money from these wars, because every time they shoot a bomb, we rebuild another one. And so the people that are in charge of this ammunition, they're all rich people. You know, it's not the worker that are building them, it's the manufacturer, you know. And when they can eliminate that, you'll find peace on earth. But we got to get rid of those destructive weapons. It's like the AK, 16 rifles, you know. What do people need with that? Normal people. Military, okay, to protect yourself, but not for these young people that are mentally disturbed, that's going out randomly just killing innocent people. You know, that's crazy. And the United States, some people involved in our government are behind this here billion-dollar industry.
So Chairman, you know what my son is saying. He's an established astrologist. Ben Netanyahu is on a suicide mission. He knows that as long as he's at war, they're not going to remove him from power. So he's got to keep the war going on to the point where it comes to a head. He's prepared to die for this and take everybody down with him. And so, you know, if he's on a suicide mission like this, you know, what my son is telling you, if he's going to take this all the way to the point of starting World War III, we're all going down with him. He understands that if he is removed from power right now, the Israeli government will file an indictment charges against him for some previous crimes that he's already committed. So that's why it's suicide for him. So he's got to take this all the way to the end, and, or die. He don't care. He's ready to die for this and take us all with him. So he needs to be removed, you know. And all you Jewish Americans, wherever you are, that's going to end up hearing this video, it ain't going to be pretty. He's a diehard to the death, and he's not going to reverse this thing. If we don't shut off his armored weapons, he's going to keep going and he's going to push it to the brink. So we have a warning for African nations. His next move. Can you play that video with the young lady talking about, you know, this may seem out of content, but it's going to prep us up for understanding what's coming. And this young lady did kind of let's hold on here. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, I've researched African spirituality enough to know that the Bible was remixed in a conference called the Conference of Nice, where they took African myths and legends, right? Because Africa, we had been existing before. We're the first people. So all these stories about, oh, they once lived, this king and this, have been there before. Then when the whites came along, they're like, oh, shit, the Africans, really, if you want to control them, this is what they believe in. Here's their spirituality. So then they took bits and pieces of it. Then they erased some of the parts that don't suit them. Like for one, the Holy Trinity is, in African spirituality, in Christianity, it's the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Patriarchy. Completely, the woman doesn't exist. African spirituality, the Holy Trinity is the Father, the Mother, the Child. So what white people did was they remixed that to suit them, because they come from a culture where the man is more important than women don't have a voice. In our culture, that didn't exist. In our culture, we come from a matriarchal lineage. Women were revered. In ancient Africa, men found it godly that we had a womb, and they knew that we have to look after the womb. And is the woman okay? I need to go out there and make sure we feed, because this is the woman who's creating life. She's carrying the womb. So a lot of dysfunctional bullshit has happened with Christianity, where they now say the man is the head, the woman is the neck, which is completely fucked with how nature is. You don't get pregnant. I don't believe in Christianity. Okay.
Okay. So that's the one part that African nations have been influenced by European Christianity. And she's given some facts and pointers as to how that religion was established. And in our book, Lucifer's Revenge, those original stories that the Bible copied and formulated their own narrative based on the image of a Caucasian god is a big problem in Africa now, because what they've done in Africa is what they did here in the United States. They actually have a financial institution that says, we will finance a church for you if you follow this scripture or this script of spirituality. And so, so with a corrupted banking system, a lot of these Aboriginal ministers here in America say, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and take this money, and maybe in our Bible studies we can try to sneak the truth in there. But that has failed. Once you accept that contract and agree to stand with a script written by the Europeans, you're in trouble. You're gonna lead your people down. So what is happening in Africa? That's the one major piece that these African ministers are being financed by these European agendas, as well as the Catholic Church, to maintain this King James version of Christianity, which was all copied from the original African stories and Aboriginals all over the world. So what we also know is that, just like my son was able to analyze Ben Netanyahu's astrological piece, what these Europeans do, and we've talked about this over and over again on the shows, but this is remedial. We're trying to transmit this to you in different languages so you can understand. The Europeans will they use astrology to identify souls that are prone to being corrupted. I know it's 72 of them. I know all 72. If I wanted to corrupt a country, I will pick one of those 72 souls and put them in power and finance them under the table so they can overthrow the government and do the will of this European agenda. So this is what's happening to you in these African nations. So you African nations, you need to find a formula to identify the other 72 souls, the type of souls that will get in position, not in power, in position to do right by the citizens of these African nations. Because what Ben Netanyahu is going to do right now, this war with Palestine, this is all about religion, the religious agenda of Judaism and Islam. So what they're saying to the people that share their phenotype is, we don't need to be doing this. Y'all need to join this movement because our phenotype is Caucasoid, and you need to put down your Islam and join us in this one agenda of exterminating melanated people all over the planet. So what Ben Netanyahu is, he's making that final push to galvanize Northern African nations with the Caucasian phenotype to join a Nazi type agenda of exterminate melanated people all over Africa. So once they are galvanized, if he was to get all the Islam to convert to this Judaism, European Christianity, then that collective will start moving into all of those African nations, because they have to keep going. Just like Ben Netanyahu, he's not going to stop, because he knows if he stops, they're going to indict him and send him to prison. So it's life or death for him. So he's going to move that agenda from Northern Africa into all other regions of Africa. But he's got to get the backing of those G7 nations, to support his madness. So you G7 people, you all got to wake up to understand that this agenda of destroying your own species is horrendous. And you're gonna have to back down. You're gonna have to back down off of this colonization thing. It's played out. Everybody's hip to the game now. You can't trick people anymore with your colonizing agenda. So your best bet now is to back off and solidify the resources that you have and start negotiating with these African nations on sharing with you for humanitarian purposes, not because you're superior. Is that making sense, Chairman?
Yes, absolutely. People got to wake up. People got to wake up. And the average person know that. It's just the leadership, somebody's got to take a stand and get him out of that position.
This man is his sole mission right now is to start the final conflict in Africa, which will lead to a worldwide problem. And it's going to tie into all of those nations that are looking at Ukraine and that particular issue, and Russia is galvanizing all these nations into this final push. We're either gonna take over with this one world government and this one world religion and exterminate everybody that's not along with the program, or we're gonna start working towards the natural laws of the universe and get, as the mayor of Tampa said, she was very adamant about it. I was amazed she said this. Any battle with Mother Nature, that's the natural laws. Mother Nature wins. So why are you pushing to go artificial intelligence, go with these unnatural laws when you know you're gonna lose? And this woman that made this statement, she understands very well her predicament, her own personal life. what kind of conflict she's running up against, and the influence she's getting from these outside people who started to use the LGBT community as a pawn to continue their demonic agenda. So we got to be real careful with that. So the last part of this the show is Aboriginals. You have options. All right, so Aboriginals. First and foremost, if you have melanin in your skin, there's a 90% chance that your ancestors was here in the Americas long before the transatlantic slave was going on. And you were mislabeled as from you being an Aboriginal, so-called Native American, to a Negro. And then at one point you turn to from a Negro to colored, and then from colored to Afro-American, from Afro-American to African-American. With all these mislabeled titles was intentional to take away your Aboriginal nationality. So here are the options that you have. The options that you have will get with us, because go to our email and let us know you're interested. UAA-AURA, that's AURA as in Republic, Life, LIFE @gmail. If you're interested in joining our Aboriginal Nation, just send us an email and we'll put you on the mailing list of sending you updated information on how you can acquire your nationality as an Aboriginal American. So that's the only way we're going to get reparations. If you continue doing it like as a United States citizen, you ain't gonna get squat. And if you think because you are soror to Kamala Harris, if she gets elected, you ain't gonna get squat. They're gonna continue that same agenda of discriminating and creating class system based on not the color of your skin, but your soror colors or your fraternity colors. And all that's linked to a Luciferian agenda. You ain't gonna get squat unless you up the contract on your soul. All right, so by establishing your Aboriginal status, that gives you nationality here in the Americas. All right, you can still keep your United States citizenship because that's a mechanism in which you're gonna be paid or used as leverage. But if you don't separate from this European agenda, you're gonna die with them. And then you're gonna still have to come back with that negative karma or the generational curse and do this all over again. So I'm gonna ask my son, now he's a Jewish doctor in the Aboriginal nationality. And part of his agenda is not only establishing your nationality as a citizen of the, as an Aboriginal American, but also we can start creating trust in land that you own or air property that you own. It needs to be converted from the United States Corporate America title into your Aboriginal title. That means tax exempt. That means no local police or sheriff gonna come on your land without permission. And we're setting that all up for you. Hey man, can you give us a brief overview on how that's gonna be set up?
No, not really, not on this live. That's a private consultation. I'll be honest with you, right? But essentially, well, it'll be real brief. The concept is the title of your land, free and clear, goes into a trust and or a certain type of 50 number, right? 501 or 508. And this is where the tax exemption comes in as well. The extension of the tax exemption comes in. But we have to take a look at it. We have to take a look at your particular situation. It's not a, So when we saying this, just to be being real. So when we saying this, out loud like this, we have to also make the disclaimer. Your individual circumstance is what's going to determine how we go about your particular process. But the idea, the plan is to, yes, get your land into an Aboriginal trust, with the ultimate goal of having that land then under Aboriginal jurisdiction. That's the ultimate goal of it. Can we do it? Yeah, we can do it. But circumstantial, right? Circumstantial.
All right, so there's a process for this. Now we have two options. I think in California they had ruled to start paying Aboriginals, giving them a check. But right now, realistically, if everybody had a check, man, I still think back on David Chappelle's show. Other brothers, they got their checks. They went out and bought a truckload of cigarettes. They went and bought everything, trying to hustle in this European system. You can't win in this European economic system. It's not designed for you to win. It's designed for you to get caught up in it. But when you get involved in it and say, I'm getting ready to get rich, I'm gonna get ready to make millions, it's a trap. What the best route for reparations is to create a nation and get the nation infrastructure underpinned. So your land needs to be tax exempt. It needs to be excluded from access by the police or the sheriff or the United States military without them contacting a chief for your local land. And so when it goes into the infrastructure, you can build your own houses. You can start building your own economy to exchange with other Aboriginal nations in America. You can start buying, investing in a currency that's going to be on an international level. That's established the examples of the BRICS. We can create our own financial institutions here in America, and that gives us leverage to go to the table with the United States of corporate America, who invaded our land, murdered our ancestors. Show real quick. Show us how they did our ancestors. That last video, who the real savages are.
Of African Americans being called violent when the world's worst violence was done to them, not by them, to them, not by them. For God's sake, you want to do racist stereotypes? If it fit anywhere, and it doesn't, but if it fit anywhere, it would certainly fit white right-wingers in the South, who has hundreds of years of history of being savages. Savages! They snatched babies, and they sold them as property, and they raped their mothers. Savages! That's what they were. You want to talk about stereotypes? Screw all of you who still defend that Confederacy, that monstrosity. Anyone who defends that is a barbaric savage.
So understanding these laws now, a lot of what this guy is saying. A lot of our people, if we organize, they're gonna do that savagery. Once again, I promise you, they're not. We have technology to protect you, but you have to come together as a collective. If you get together and say, "Hey man, I'm gonna make a move on this right now," and just me, they will tear you up. They'll tear you a new butthole. But if you come into a collective community, it ain't about ego. It's not about we're gonna be the leaders and we're gonna be running everything. No, we have a natural system. We have a council of elders, and then we have officers, upper management, lower management, technical, and trainees. We have that natural order. We have a natural order on how we're going to incorporate all of these things to protect them.
You're asking us to talk about history.
So once again, to the Aboriginal people, very calmly, you have an option. You sitting back and you seeing all this stuff unfolding. We sending $2 billion to Israel. welfare check. We sending 15 billion in arms so they can murder children, and we sending all this money to Ukraine. What about and you having to work 3 jobs to pay the rent, to feed yourself? You know, something wrong with that for me. So the best route is to start looking at your dual citizenship. We're setting up the mechanism. If you're interested in getting involved, if you're tired of being beat over your head, you're stressed out working 3 jobs, send us an email, UAAR, that's United Aboriginal American Republic, UAAR Life, LIFE @gmail. Send us an email. We'll put you on the mailing list and give you updates on getting involved in the process. And that's your option. If anybody has a better option other than what we're providing you with, we definitely want to listen. Send us an email, say, hey man, I got a better option, because we don't know everything. You know, I've been on this planet 72 years. The chairman, you've been on here 77 years. You know, I think we've got the best option you have, because we're doing this with love out of our heart. We ain't doing this to get rich. We ain't doing this to drive around in fancy cars. We're doing this because we don't want to have to come back in the next life to this bull crap. That's our mission. So go out and get you a copy of the book, Lucifer's Revenge. Get it to your children, your grandchildren. It's a guide that, you know, they got some other people. They got some made up Negroes that's reflecting everything we wrote, almost everything in this book, but it's not organized to show you how you're going to regain your humanity. You know, go out and get a copy of that book. The proceeds from that book is to hire our young people, to train them, to build self-sustainable communities, to open up our own banking account so we can exchange with other countries in case the American dollar shuts down. You know, this is proactive, not reactive. This is getting ready. You know, this is how you do that. So send us an email, UAARlife@gmail.com, and let us know. We'll put you on the mailing list. We're moving forward with an alternative to this madness. Hey, Chairman, you want to talk about, you got your final statement? Tell them how they can get your book as well.
Yes, my book, getting the feedback. Okay. My book can be purchased through Amazon, and it also could be purchased through my website at www.terrence@godschildren.biz. And if you buy it through me, I'll send you a autographed copy. And the book is selling for $10, but you add about $4.50 on it for the shipping. And I'll get that to you as soon as possible. I was involved with a book fair last month in Manila, the Philippines, and they sold about 50 of my books. I was looking for more than that, but it's still being marketed. And get your copy. You can't go wrong. You know, you want to be enlightened, read that book and you'll definitely be enlightened. And you see the picture behind me, that's the cover of the book. But help support a brother that's trying to make it better for everybody. Thank you.
All right. Well, we're gonna let the young blood close us out. Hey man, go ahead and close us out.
Yeah, well, I think it's been a pretty good show. Family has been a Straight Talk Network Saturday morning show. We love y'all. Peace out. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace out.
Conversation.